I want to take a moment and go over a few tricks that you can use while writing that will show more support for any given fact. I did describe this in the opening to this week as well. But let's just go over it in a video really quickly. So when you're introducing a fact, such as, however, collaborative learning is now considered a valid and widely accepted practice in classes that produces improvement in understanding concepts and revising written work, you see in my in-text citation that is not usually red, I just highlighted it red here for the sake of explaining, that I have a bunch of last names listed. Why the heck would I do that? Well, this is technically like 7 different in-text citations. So if I just had one in-text citation, it would look like that. But instead, I read a bunch of research and found that all these people believe in this concept right here. So you can do more than one source supporting an idea, and this makes the idea stronger. So what I did is I put the semicolon right after the page number here, and then I went on to put another author and the page number, so we know that's MLA format, and a semicolon. So I'm separating all these various citations that could be separate citations individually. I could technically, I don't need anyone. Let's say I just technically wanted to pick some random King 34. That means the same thing as all those other ones. That means the exact same thing. However, showing that all these other sources and these reputable experts in the field also agree with this point makes the point stronger. So this is a trick you can use in your work. If you're seeing the same concept over and over as you're reading your sources, you can double, triple, quadruple, more than that up on any given idea to show the strength of that idea. That's really important to note. This makes any fact or piece of evidence very, very strong. Now, I do advise if it's a fact, such as dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago, you don't necessarily have to double up. You really want to start doubling up when it's more controversial. So when I wrote this paper, the idea that collaborative learning should be embedded in the classroom was still pretty controversial. And I'm saying all this research shows that no, it kind of it's good. It's good. My research specifically concerned how online education is changing the educational experience, and in some ways, if not done properly, diminishing it. That's why peer review is so important to somehow embed when you're learning online, because you lose a lot of interaction and a lot of knowledge gaining. As most of you wrote in the surveys that I conducted after paper 3, the peer review process is one of your favorite processes in this course, and for good reason. It's where you're connecting with another human who's giving you valuable information on your work. Okay, so that's one thing to note, that you can double, triple, quadruple up on a piece of opinion or an opinion, a piece of evidence, to strengthen that evidence further if you're seeing it reiterated in multiple sources that you're using. Another thing I want to show you is the insertion of the footnote. Notice this little tiny one right here that I have after traditional peer review. Well, I do that in my work because I don't want to waste ink in the body going over definitions. And so I inserted a little one here that says, if you go to the very bottom of this paper, you're going to see a little one, and after that one, it's going to give you a further description. So traditional peer review pedagogy involves face-to-face interaction during which students read, write on, and discuss hard copies of drafts in groups of 2 or more. So that's how it's traditionally refined for traditional peer review. Now you can do this in your work. This is a great way to not drone on and on about a topic if you have a topic that has a lot of technical terms in it, which most of you do. You have topics that people won't understand upon first glance. For instance, not everyone understands what the definition of Common Core is. You might want to do some extrapolation of that definition of that by inserting a footnote. So let me show you how to do that. The easiest way to get any footnote in a paper is as follows. If you go up to the upper left hand of your screen, you're going to see this little tiny triangle up there. And if you click that, it's going to have a drop-down box. If you go under more commands in that drop-down box, this screen will pop up. While you're in this screen, the other drop-down box in the upper left-hand corner, you want to go ahead and click that. After you click that, you'll see this option here for all commands. Click that. Now, you just did some magic. This is all the commands in Word. Every command that Word has to offer. You know when you want to do something and you know it exists but you can't find it? Here's how to just bypass all that I can't find it thing. From here, you can go and see anything you want to do. So we wanted to a footnote, right? A footnote is different than an end note. Footnotes come at the very bottom of the page, while end notes come at the very back of the paper. So if you inserted an end note, it would show up with a little 1 as well, but that little 1 would lead your reader to the very last page of your research paper, which is like page 12 or 20 or something. So I am a big fan of footnotes because I think you should be able just to quickly glance down as you're reading to get some more information and then go back up. So we want a footnote. And if we scroll to the F's, A, B, C, D, E, F, I'm still working on my alphabets. If we go here, we'll see, yay, footnote, there it is. Or you can choose footnote and endnote. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the footnote and endnote option, both footnote and endnote. I'm going to, okay, I added two things, but I added footnote and endnote. Then I'm going to press OK. Now, if you watch, as I press OK, the upper left hand of the screen on this by this little triangle bar, but all the stuff that comes before it on the left, it's going to add more stuff to that list. So I'm going to go ahead and press OK. Now I got that new stuff I just added. So now if I wanted to insert a footnote about the debate right here, I would go ahead and click the new thing I just added, and I could add an endnote or a footnote. Let's say I want to do footnote, bottom of the page. I insert. It'll automatically go to number 2 because it magically knows I already have a number 1, and then it'll insert the number 2 here, and I can just start typing my definition. The only reason I put this in red here is for explaining purposes, but please don't put any of your work in red. So it added the number 2 automatically, and then it changed the rest of my paper to number 3, 4, and 5. So you can just go back and forth and add definitions all over your work using this magic process. And I strongly suggest that you add definitions where necessary using footnotes rather than in the prose, because it weighs down your prose and gets your reader disinterested pretty quickly. It's kind of like when your instructors in class do an annoying aside, they'll be talking about writing and all of a sudden they'll go into Chinese history or something and get you way off topic. So you have the opportunity to do annoying asides yourself. Just do them using footnotes. Now, another thing I want you to notice when writing, so you learned two things right now. You learned multiple sources, doubling, tripling, quadrupling up on a fact. You learned footnotes. Another thing I want you to learn is just some overview of the conversation. When you're writing, good writing feels like a conversation between real researchers, right? So when you have a conversation with your friends, you don't say, okay, Katie, tell us all your opinions and stop talking. And then, John, you will tell us all your opinions and stop talking. And you two are done talking and you will talk no more after. That's not what you do. That's weird if you do that with your friends. Your friends, like, let's say you're talking about what your favorite TV show is, and somebody's like, oh, I love Family Guy, it's so funny, and another person's like, it's really base humor. It's not that intelligent of humor, and somebody else is like, well, that's what makes it funny, and then the first person says, yes, it is intelligent humor, I disagree with you. So you see how people are talking back and forth on one specific point? That's how good research is also written. It's written around claims, and researchers and you introduce ideas from various researchers on that one claim. And so you see authors, the same author, pop up in a paper multiple times because it's a conversation. So if you notice here, Johnson & Johnson said something, and then all these people said something, and then Schubert and Mahoney say something, and I actually say, in fact, Schubert and Mahoney describe cognitive development, actually introduce them in the prose.